Ave Regina,
Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And then 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying and were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and inside the house he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down and called the 12 and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The lessons that Jesus has been teaching by example since the day of his birth, he now teaches with words in today's gospel. And in this lesson is a big one, the nature of true success. When Jesus and his apostles sit down to relax in Capernaum after a long day of walking the hot roads of Galilee, he knows exactly what they've been talking about: success, glory, and greatness. You can almost hear their voices, their quarrels, and their pettiness. To protect the innocent, I will not use their names. Of course I am the most important. Didn't he call me the rock, and he would build everything upon me? Rock, It doesn't mean you are important to others. You should look for his love. When you do, you will realize he loves me the most. The most important person in a group is the one who holds the money. The world is ruled by money. Do you remember when we had that catering problem? 5,000 people following him to listen to his words, and there was no food. Nobody knew what to do, not even him, it seemed. He turned to me for advice. "I'm sorry for you," but he'd asked me. Jesus knows well what has been going on during this journey. He has been talking to him about being handed over. He's going to be killed and then rise from the dead. But they had no clue what was going on. They were only thinking of themselves. He sits down with the 12 and says, if anyone wishes to rank first, he must remain last of all and the servant of all. Now, we all know this is not practical advice for someone wanting a promotion or to be in charge. But it is a reminder for us today that we can be with Christ in heaven only after following in his footsteps, of carrying the cross with humility. So Jesus' response today can be surprising to us. He doesn't get mad or upset with them. He doesn't scold them for wanting to do something great. Instead, he tells them what true greatness really is. He tells them that the great task for every Christian isn't to achieve fame or fortune or popularity. Rather, it's the same task that Christ himself undertook, to serve others, to make others happy, to reach out to those who are weak or in need, like the little children. Greatness in Christ's kingdom is equated with humility, an attitude of the heart that put the good of others ahead of one's own preferences. It's self-giving, not self-getting. He doesn't say to the apostles, don't strive to achieve great things, but he does point out to them where true and lasting fulfillment, where this greatness lies, in loving one's neighbor as Christ has loved them. Jesus is the servant, and we, his faithful disciples, are called to follow in his demanding footsteps. One great example of a person that practiced this was Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Because of her work in helping the poorest of the poor, she was called the Saint of the Gutters. She would see Jesus in everyone she met. It didn't matter whether they were dying of AIDS or leprosy or just plain hunger. She wanted them to be able to die with peace and dignity. Mother Teresa said, love begins in our home. Love your family and your neighbors. Share with the poor and needy around you, your smile, your word, your time, your belongings. See God's presence in the people that you meet daily and treat them as children of God. Serve and love one person at a time. God does not want us to love crowds of people. That is an impossibility. He wants us to love him in every single person we meet, when we meet that person. We can see these words that Mother Teresa said that are fulfilled in our second reading from James today, that the wisdom from above is first of all pure, then peaceable, gentle, and compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, without inconsistency or insincerity. Mother Teresa is a perfect example of someone who always considered others considered others worth approaching, and someone who lived as Jesus asked us to live in today's gospel. One difficulty that comes with pursuing this humble, Christ-like service is doing what is right, even when it is difficult and unpopular, being patient and forgiving with people who drive us crazy, finding creative ways to encourage and support those around us. But it also involves forming a Christ-like heart in ourselves, recognizing that every single person, starting with ourselves, is valued, esteemed by God, and wanting what is best for every person, regardless of whether or not we happen to get along with them, and considering other people just as important as ourselves. This can sometimes feel impossible. It seems like something only saints can do. But it's not true. With God's grace, we can all gradually grow into this virtue, and we need to, if we want to achieve true success. We are all guilty sometimes of being self-serving in some point in our lives. We need to be open to those around us, those that are truly in need. When we serve others, we receive something that money can never buy. We become more like Jesus. With the examples of Jesus and Mother Teresa before us, we can ask ourselves, what is our attitude towards others? Do we always consider what others' worth is approaching? If we do not, why not? Is it because they've hurt us, or we've not yet forgiven them, or it is because we are like Christ's disciples on the road? We are trying to figure out who is the greatest among us. We need to put aside our differences and our quarrels, our arguments. We need to focus on Jesus and listen to what he wants us to hear this morning, what he wants us to hear in our lives. And as Jesus renews his commitment to us in this Mass, let us renew our commitment to him. Let us ask him to help us, starting today, to pursue greatness in the eyes of God.
Regina Celi,
Letare, Alleluia, quiaque meruisti portare, Alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, Sit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.